Back in 2006, we visited the University of North Texas in Denton and met a man who was unsure about his next steps in life.
I'm a student here at the University of North Texas. I am working on my undergraduate degree and hope to start grad studies next fall.
John Bramblitt once had aspirations of becoming an English professor as he worked toward a degree in literature. But when epilepsy took away his ability to read, the story of his life was rewritten.
You live your life and you're able to do whatever you want, but then suddenly things like trying to eat dinner without knocking your water over your plate, or cooking. There's so many hot, pokey, sharp things in the kitchen, and be able to navigate that. But you start learning how to make mental maps and how to physically understand the world through touch. Because with this cane, you're just reaching out and you're touching. And then after about a year, I could leave my apartment and I could use the cane and I could use the strategies to be able to cross the streets by myself, get through traffic. And I thought, well, good grief, if I can get across the city and not get hit by a car and not knock over too many people, then surely I could get across something much smaller like a canvas. So I started using the same techniques that you use to navigate an entire city and combining that with art techniques that I already knew, and just started learning how to draw with lines that I could touch and feel. And I started carving up a canvas in the same way that you carve up a city.
When we first met him, we weren't sure where life would take this artist, but one thing was certain to us. John Bramblitt was destined for success. On our recent visit, we found his love for storytelling hasn't changed over the years, but a lot of things have. These days, you'll still find John with a paintbrush in his hand as he continues to revise the narrative of what it means to be visually impaired. But today, this man without sight has set his sights on changing the world.
So we did the first mural in New York, and that was amazing. I didn't realize that there hadn't been a blind painter do that before. And then we were there, and then the crew was like, you realize you're the first blind person to do this, right? And I'm like, no, I didn't. I'm all covered in paint. I'm like, really? This is hard. And since then, I've trained thousands of visually impaired people to paint. I work with blind services. I became a cultural ambassador for the U.S. when they sent me to Brazil, and we started training the schools for the blind there. We've received 3 presidential awards for the art workshops that we teach, and it's because we go into schools, we go everywhere. The workshops are free. We work with the museums like the Dallas Museum of Art, Kimball. We've worked with the Met, the Guggenheim. We work with museums all over.
Over the last 2 decades, John Bramblitt has achieved more than most with less than many. After becoming the first blind muralist, working with some of the biggest museums in the world, and teaching thousands of visually impaired people how to paint, John decided there was just more for him to do and make. So he opened an art bar and gallery in downtown Denton with a name that pays homage to the guide dog that helped him achieve it all.
We're in Bramblitt's Yellow Dog Art Bar and Gallery, and the yellow dog is my dog Eagle. And but we're a gallery in the heart of Denton. We're just right off the square. Every day I paint. Every day I'm in front of the easel. Every day I spend time. It's family. And I just feel blessed because I'm able to connect with people. The goal, though, is to have an art space where all that takes care of the bills, so that the artists can come here and play. People in Denton can also come. It's a creative space. It's a maker space, so that we have things for people to come in here and do, so that you're not just sitting here. You can color things, you can draw things, you can paint. I mean, this is a town that took a guy who lost his eyesight in college, and accepted him and made it where I was able to stay in school, and they made it where I didn't feel like an oddball. I didn't feel, they just embraced me, and we knew if we ever open a gallery, we're gonna have to do it here.
On any given day, you can find John at the front door of his art bar, working on his next piece with Eagle always by his side. Call it inspirational, insane, or even impossible, but there is no denying the special look and feel of a Bramblitt original.
And for this, the last step that I did, I put in some darker color. So now I need to go in and put some really bright. So I'm using a fluorescent pink because that'll lighten it back up. At least that's the idea.
Whether you're drawn in by his colorful creations or by his warm and inviting workspace, everything John's hands glide over touches the lives of many, including his own. When he first lost his eyesight, John struggled with what life had in store. But over time, he discovered that painting was the way he could see the light at the end of the tunnel.
It's been a long time though. It's been about 20 years-ish, and at first I was very angry and very depressed. I didn't let people know. And honestly, after about 8 months, I thought I was getting sick because suddenly it just felt like there was just this big weight that was lifted, and I thought, am I coming down with a cold or something? Because I just felt so different. I mean, it wasn't like everything was suddenly like a switch flipped or something. It was just like a ray of hope kind of coming into my life. And when you're just swimming through darkness and all you know is darkness, 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 and that's all you ever expect, even a little bit of gray coming in your life is something special.
This will seem like a ridiculous question to some and maybe to you. If you could go back and change it all and not go through losing your sight, would you do that?
I would if I could remember everything that I learned, but I like the person that it turned me into. And once you learn to adapt, then you've adapted, and which doesn't mean there's not hard days or hard times or anything like that, but it changed my perspective, I think, on in a way that I like.
It's been 20 years since John lost his eyesight, and it's been almost 20 years since he turned his anger and depression into a colorful career. And somehow, during that time, John came to learn a powerful lesson. He discovered that losing his sight didn't make him different from other people. It made him, well, more like the rest of us.
Whenever I lost my eyesight, I thought that made me different than everyone else. And then the more that I learned, I found out it actually makes me more like everybody, because everybody has something in their life that's bigger than they are that you have to ask for help for, and it may not be a disability. It could be a death in the family. It could be anything. And so, the sight loss, it just made me more like everyone else. And the more that I talk to people, the more that I learn. Because I know I go to places to give talks, and I'll do painting and I'll do all this, but I always come back knowing more than whatever I was able to say or teach.